He's the astromech that stole the show in a galaxy far, far away. From the sands of Tatooine to the forests of Endor, he was at the heart of every adventure. But what made him the greatest droid hero ever? Hi, I'm Alex, and welcome to Star Wars Relics. Today we're taking a look at the original Kenner R2-D2. We're going to take a look at the details, the history, and see why he continues to be a legend to this very day. The first time we see any character, R2 is front and center. At this point, he's still moments away from becoming the MacGuffin that will drive the entire film's plot. With events on the Tantive 4 reaching their endgame, Princess Leia downloads Death Star schematics into R2 and sends him on a secret mission to find Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine. With his trusted sidekick, C-3PO, they escape from the Tantive 4. After landing on Tatooine, the droids decide to go their separate ways. R2 is stalked and eventually captured by Jawas. In a setback, the Jawas attach a restraining bolt and add him to their inventory. In the Sandcrawler, R2 is reunited with C-3PO. They are both promptly sold to a moisture farmer named Owen Lars. At the same time, we meet Luke Skywalker, who is tasked with preparing the droids for their new life on a moisture farm. R2 seizes the moment to manipulate and trick Luke into removing the restraining bolt. While Luke is at dinner, R2 immediately escapes to continue his secret mission. Full disclosure, it took me years before I clued in on that. I did not know that R2 tricked him. I was probably a teenager before that became apparent. The next day, Luke and C-3PO catch up to R2, but run into trouble with some sand people. They are rescued by Obi-Wan Kenobi, and R2 is able to deliver Princess Leia's message. The group joins up with Han Solo and Chewbacca in Mos Eisley and flee Tatooine for Alderaan aboard the Millennium Falcon. They never make it to Alderaan and instead are pulled into the Death Star. Once aboard the Death Star, R2 does what he does best and hacks into the Imperial system. He is able to provide the location for the terminal to release the Millennium Falcon, locate Princess Leia, and then rescue Han, Luke, Leia, and Chewie from the trash compactor. On a side note, from the Empire's perspective, this would have been perceived as the most daring Special Forces mission. A team led by a former Jedi general inserted onto a space station and rescued the Empire's potentially highest profile inmate. This could be equated with the Taliban rescuing one of their own from Guantanamo Bay at the height of the Afghanistan war. The team does eventually escape the Death Star. During their escape, R2 puts a fire out on the Millennium Falcon, and the group does eventually make it to the Rebel base on Yavin 4, where R2 provides the plans to the Rebel Alliance. With the Death Star racing towards Yavin 4, a strike force of 30 X-Wing and Y-Wing fighters are sent to destroy the Death Star, among them Luke Skywalker and R2. During the climatic battle, R2 is constantly working to keep Luke's X-Wing together. R2 ends up taking a direct hit from Darth Vader, but the Death Star is still destroyed. In the American Army, this would have earned him his first Purple Heart. Restored and extra shiny, R2 stands proudly during the victory celebration. Already a true hero, but he's only getting started. R2 was one of the original 12 carded figures, and although he was replaced in The Empire Strikes Back by the Sensor Scope version, the original version was still available with an Empire Strikes Back card until the 48 card back. The picture on the card appears to be from the victory celebration and it's heavily airbrushed. Personally, I think they should have left it the way it was because I think he looks spectacular at the end. Otherwise, I would have gone with a picture maybe from the Tantive 4 where the lighting around him is really, really great. Other than that, it's a good card. All right, R2's head, or should I say dome. I always felt that it was spot on, but if you actually look at it closely, it is more inspired than accurate. It is much lower than it should be, and a lot of the panels, lenses, and sensors have been removed and replaced just with geometric shapes that are applied symmetrically that are more pleasing to the eye. However, not accurate. The dome is also much more silver than it should be. In reality, it should probably be more a shiny metal color than a silver color. But to be honest, I never minded this. I kind of liked it. When it came to the torso, Kenner made the controversial choice of using a sticker. The sticker gave and it took. It gave us unparalleled detail and exceptional accuracy. It took from us by being a sticker. Stickers are prone to peeling and they get dirty very, very easily, as it was in this case. No weapon was actually included with R2-D2, but I've always felt that he could have really used the third wheel that came with the Droid factory. Maybe it wasn't included at the time because the Droid factory was an afterthought, but it's something that could have been done to raise the value just a little bit. His standing ability is actually exceptional. It doesn't matter which way you twist the torso, he has no problem standing on even some slanted surfaces. This figure with its simplified details and sticker torso is unmistakable, if not iconic. At the time we accepted it as accurate. It was the only R2 many of us knew, and we were grateful for it. A lot of the trade-offs and compromises with this figure are probably due to the production limitations and material limitations of the 1970s. We must never forget how early on in the action figure history this is actually taking place. A lot of the trade-offs are probably due to the limitations of 1970s technology and materials. They were also probably hampered by a desire to make a durable and playable product. We probably also shouldn't forget that from day one they were already behind schedule, and that the pressure on the artists who were making these figures must have been absolutely immense. A testament to the iconic nature of this R2-D2 action figure is that Gentle Giant chose this version to make a life-size replica, and when they made it, they changed nothing. They kept all the flaws. And although every R2-D2 created after the original trilogy is probably technically better than this one, this is the original. This is the one that everybody wants. And even though it has a lot of flaws, it definitely captured the essence of R2-D2. I had this figure. I love this figure. It was one of the first 4 figures I ever got. He went on every mission adventure that my heroes ever went on. For me, interestingly though, he never hacked into anything, mostly because I didn't understand computers and I had no idea what hacking was. I was 6. In my universe, he didn't really beep, he could actually talk. And he was bilingual in that he could speak German and that he eventually learned English. He also put service in as a cannon, although in hindsight, he was more like a mortar. Basically, due to his hollow nature, I would just tilt him up and yeah, you could start taking shots at the enemy with that. Also, due to the hollow nature of him, he would fly through the air like a rocketeer, where that hollow space would be where the jet comes out of, and he would go smashing and taking down enemies left, right, and center. It was one of my most favorite figures. I have nothing but fond memories of him. By the time we had left Nigeria, he was a mess. Half the sticker was gone, and officially he had been replaced by the sensor scope version, who had taken over full-time duties. What was your experience with this R2-D2 action figure? I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And until next time, take care.